Okay, since I'm gone today, you're going to watch a video of me talking to you. I'm going to go through a few practice problems from every lesson in this chapter. Enrichment students, you will have a little bit extra, as you know, that goes beyond this video. Alright, so the very first lesson taught you about how to change words into math. It was that translating thing. So we need to remember what those words mean, like for example, more than and less than. What do those words mean? More than meant plus, so I'm going to say 2 more than x would be 2 plus x, and that's all I need to do is change it. 5 less than n. Less than is a turnaround word. More than is as well, but it doesn't matter if I write 2 plus x or x plus 2. It does matter if I write 5 minus n or n minus 5. Since it's 5 less than n, I would be saying n and then take away 5. Less than is a turnaround word. Let's go on to these bottom three. They are equations. How do I know they're equations? There's the word is, which means equals. I kind of ignore the point where it says is and beyond, and I read the first part and write just like I did at the beginning. A number plus 3. A number plus 3. Remember, it doesn't matter what variable you choose. Is 9 equals 9. All right, twice the number of boxes is 40. Twice we have to know means 2 times the number of boxes is 40. And lastly, 175 cups separated into G groups. 175 separated into means divide into G groups, so I'm going to call that G is 25 equals 25. All right, one-step equations, we have two different types. We have adding and subtracting, which I'll do first, and then we have multiplying and dividing. And actually, it's just multiplying, and we solve them by dividing. Remember, to solve these, you draw train tracks. I like to circle the variable and say I'm getting rid of everything else. So I'm getting rid of plus 3. To get rid of plus 3, I subtract 3. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. So I'm subtracting 3 from both sides. H equals, do this problem, 14 minus 3 is 11. The next one, b minus 23. To get rid of the minus 23, I'm going to add 23 to both sides. On this side, they cancel. On the other side, I get 29. 23 equals n plus 12. The opposite of plus 12 is minus 12. So I'm going to do that to both sides. On this side I get 11. On the other side I have n left because those cancel. Remember that you can plug these things in. For example, 11 going here plus 12 equals 23. Let's keep going. On this side I have c take away 5. The opposite of minus is plus 5. I'll do that to both sides and I get 12 is equal to c. On this one, the opposite of minus 2 is plus 2, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I get 16 is equal to f. And lastly, I have some negatives here. The opposite of minus 8 is plus 8, so I'm going to add 8 to both sides. When I have a negative number, remember if they're the same sign, we add them together. If they're different signs, we subtract them. Since these are different signs subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, which is negative. Then you'll be exact. Here's some more one-step equations. For these, they're all touching the variable. Remember, touching the variable is just saying I am multiplying by that. So this top one says 8 times q equals 48. The opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide by the 8. These cancel, and I have q equals 6 because 48 divided by 8 is 6. The second one, I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides, and I get p equals 8 again. The next one, I'm going to divide by 4 again. Here I have k on the right and 11 on the left. Here's a negative. It won't stump me. I'm just going to divide by negative 5. Pretend like these are both positive. 40 divided by 5 is 8. A positive divided by a negative in my triangle. A positive divided by a negative is a negative answer. And the last one, I'm going to divide by negative 2. Remember, I pretend like these are both positive. I get an answer of 7. Check. A negative divided by a negative is a positive answer. All right, two-step equations means we're going to have a little bit more to do. Remember, when we have 2 steps, we need to decide which step comes first. The first step I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my addition or my subtraction. Remember, it's opposite order of operations, so we're starting at the bottom, working our way up. So I'm going to get rid of plus 1 first, and I'm going to subtract 1. After I do that, I'm going to rewrite what's left. So I have 2x left on this side, and on the other side I have 9 minus 1, which is 8. Then I'm going to divide by 2, and x equals 4. These are probably a little bit more important to try after you're done, because there's more room to make mistakes. So plug that in. Is 2 times 4 plus 1 equal to 9? Sure is. Next one. I'm going to get rid of my minus 3 first by adding 3. Remember, you always get rid of the addition or subtraction first. This side, that cancels out, and I have 7k left on that side. On the other side, when I add that together, I get 35. Divide both sides by 7, and k is equal to 5. For this one, I'm going to subtract 2 first from both sides. I get 15 is equal to 5b. Divide both sides by 5, and b is equal to 3. And the last one, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I get 64 on the right. I get 8x on the left. Divide by 8. Divide by 8. I have x equals 8. All right, perimeter and area problems. You should be pretty familiar with how to find the perimeter and how to find the area. We're going to get a little bit more intense with these as well. So remember, perimeter is adding up all of the sides. And so I have 8 plus 4, plus we need to know that on the opposite side of this is 8, and on the opposite side of this one is 4. So when I add those all together, I get 24 centimeters. Area is the length times the width. So I'm going to take one of the lengths and one of the widths, and I'm going to multiply them together. So I get 32 centimeters squared. If I know the perimeter, which I know for both of these, but I don't know what the area is, or sorry, I don't know what the width is, or the height, the length, I don't know this side, right? I'm going to use what I know and subtract off what I don't know. So for example, I have 20 feet as my perimeter. That's the answer when I added this side plus this side plus this side plus this side. Well, I know that these two sides are 4 feet, right? So I can get rid of what I know. So I start with 20 after I added them all up. I can take off those two, which is a total of 8. I'm left with 12. We know that when I added all of these, I got 20. 2 of them off is 12. That means this one and this one together are 12. Well, since they're the same length because they're on opposite sides of the rectangle, I know that it has to be exactly half of 12 on each side. Half of 12 is 6. Let's test this. 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6, does that equal 20? Sure does. If yours doesn't work out, then you need to try again. Here's another one. The perimeter is 24 meters and the top is 7 meters. So we have a question mark here, 7 meters down below, a question mark on the other side. All right, so I can take my 24. I can get rid of these 2 7s. 2 7s is 14, so I have 10 left. 10 split between 2 sides would be 5 for each side. Tested is 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5 equal to 24. It sure is. All right, this is where we know the area, but we don't know what one of the sides is. So to find what our side would be, we know that this times this equals this as an answer. You can just do that in your head and say, 4 times what gives me 12? And I bet you came up with 3. Another way of doing this is saying take this and going backwards and divide by 4, which gives you 3 as well. So here I want to know 7 times what gives me 35. 7 times 5 gives me 35. I'm done. All right, lastly, you have to graph lines. When you're graphing the line of an equation, you're going to take and write out in function tables. So I'm going to take my x plus 1, and my y, and I'm going to draw them out as a function table. You want to have at least 3 values that you're plugging in. Doesn't matter which values you choose. I say 0, 1, and 2 are excellent choices. All right, so when I plug in 0, 0 plus 1, I get 1. When I plug in 1, 1 plus 1, I get 2. When I plug in 2, 2 plus 1, I get 3. So now I have an x value and a y value. I can rewrite that as an ordered pair. 0, 1, this one would be 1, 2, and this one would be 2, 3. To graph that, I'm simply going to put those on the graph. 0, 1 is about here. 1, 2 is here. and 2, 3 is here. If these don't line up in a straight line, you know you did something wrong. Go back and check your math. All right, let's do this one in red. I'm going to skip the middle step this time. I'm just going to write x and y. I'm going to plug in 0, 1, and 2. And when I do that, I'm going to just put these in my head. I'm going to say 2 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now, I like how these are right next to each other, so I don't have to rewrite them. 0, 0 goes here. 1, 2 goes here. And 2, 4 goes here. Okay? And in blue, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do these in my head. Maybe it's easier for you to make your full function table. It's up to you. So I'm going to plug in this and say 2 times 0 is 0, minus 3 is negative 3. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And 2 times 2 is 4, minus 3 is 1. So I'm going to graph that 0, negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, negative 1, and 2, 1. There it is. All right, you have a review worksheet to work on in class. Any questions can be given to me right before the test tomorrow, or you can send me an email. Thank you. Have a good day.